Hello, I was just having a little conversation with my daughter who is off sick because she was sick last night, and although she's perfectly happy, you can't send children to school. And I was just talking with her because she was talking about, well, we got onto the subject of babies and how she really wants me to have another baby because then she's got someone to hold. And you may or may not know that the subject of babies is a little bit painful because of how many I have lost. But she was talking to me and how she really wants a little baby to hold. And it got me thinking, why does she need a little baby to hold? And I was saying to her, Arden, that's my daughter's name, you need to know that you're enough. And she didn't understand that. And I was saying to her, you need to know that you don't need to have these little things to make you feel good. So this is what I've got to work on with her. And it's something that clients come to me all the time with because they just feel empty. And that's that's the upset of the majority of the people, is they just don't feel enough. And whether they placate this with food, with alcohol, with shopping, how many people are addicted to Amazon, to handbags, shoes, exercise, sex, so many things that we use to fill this empty hole. But what does enough feel like? And we often talk about, isn't it, we need to know that we're enough. But what is enough? And it came to me, nice easy way to put it is that if Arden felt that she was enough, that she had everything that she needed about herself, she wouldn't have that need to have a little baby to hold. And it's about us knowing that we have enough of ourselves, that ourselves is enough, that we are complete, that we don't need other things to complete ourselves. So often people come to me on my workshops and they feel that they are empty. And we use food. We use food to try and fill that hole. We use alcohol, we use drugs, we use other influences, rather than realizing that if we can fill that hole with ourselves, whether that needs to be going back and showing that child that they were loved, wanted, needed, important, cared about, safe and secure, that they were valued, whether that's what's needed, whether it's because something happened to you as a child or in your adult life that really shocked you to your core, really hurt you, really shook you. And then we can lose parts of ourselves. These are soul fragments. We have 617 soul fragments and we lose them. We can choose to give them away. If we are desperate for somebody to heal, we can give little parts of ourselves. If we are so desperate for somebody to get better or for their circumstances to improve, and we are so invested in that we are putting ourselves in completely, we can give them little parts of our soul so that they do heal, they do feel better. But then we're giving parts of ourselves away. And so often when clients come and see me, afterwards they'll say, I can listen to that music and I couldn't listen to it before. And that happened for me. I used to love, I was a child of the 90s. I loved all that grunge and indie stuff. And I got to the stage where I couldn't bear to listen to it. And I'd never listened to it. And through my healing, I was able to. And that was from bringing back soul fragments. And more recently, I'm able to listen to R&B. And history is never off the radio because it brings me back to that happy place. But until I had brought my soul fragments back, I couldn't listen to it. So that's another way that we can fill that aching hole, because if we have a hole inside us, then we can't feel complete and we'll never know that we are enough. Being enough means that we don't need to worry what people think about us. We don't need to worry if people want to spend time with us. We don't need to worry that people think that what we're doing is good enough. We don't need to worry about what people are thinking about us. And, you know, if people want to gossip about us, well, hey, isn't it so great that they think that we're so interesting that their empty lives need to talk about us? And that is the whole thing about being enough, not caring what anyone else thinks, because we know to ourselves that we are the most important person. And it's not living off ego, and it's not loving yourself completely in that horrible egotistical way that people talk about it. And we're often taught growing up that people who love themselves, you know, oh, look at her, she loves herself, you know. I talk about this a lot. I must have heard it a lot as a child. And I get triggers of family about that. You know, you weren't allowed to stand in your power. You weren't allowed to say, look how good I am. Because people would look at you because they weren't feeling good. So the hell did they want a child standing there feeling good about themselves? No, they wanted you to feel bad. So they were never ever going to support you. It's the whole thing about smoking, isn't it? I used to smoke, and if I would think about quitting, the first person would be there smoking and they'd be offering me a cigarette. Oh, go on, you know you want to. And I would do exactly the same, because it makes you feel so much better if someone else is smoking with you. And the fact that someone else has quit and you haven't sort of like makes you feel a bit of a failure. So no, you want them to fail at quitting and you want them to come back and be a smoker. There's the whole thing about people not wanting you to succeed. But the beauty is that when you know you're enough, when you heal, when you do that self-love and you're putting that self-love in every single day, then you know you're enough. And it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. And can you imagine how freeing that would feel? To walk down the street and not care. Don't care what your hair looks like. Don't care what clothes you're wearing. Don't care how you're walking. Don't care what anybody else's opinion is of you. And it's so freeing. And you don't have to pretend to be looking on your phone when you see people or people coming up to you because you don't want to deal with them. Because you are completely happy with yourself. Completely happy. You know that you are good enough. Good enough to be around you 24/7. You know, if we don't feel that we're good enough, that's where we find the need to go out, get drunk, because then we don't need to remember how bad it feels to be us. And alcohol allows us to just forget everything. And you know, you can sometimes blame the alcohol, but it's a very rare occasion that you don't actually know or remember what you're doing. It's just that you don't care. So many reasons to work on your love and how you love yourself. I do have a guide that will show you 5 simple steps to put yourself on that self-love path. If you would like the guide, put a comment in the video and I will give you the link. But yeah, when Arden was talking, and it made me suddenly realise that I need to work with her a bit more, because if she needs to have a little baby to hold, to love, then there's still something missing. And it's a bit of a generational thing, because I never felt loved as a child, and my mum probably never felt loved as a child, and all of these things. But I'm here to break that curse. You know, I help other people to do it, and I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for my children. So it's about being aware. When we're aware of how we feel and why we're feeling that way, we can change it. We can make those steps to do that. So thank you for joining me, and if you're watching this on a replay, #replay, so I know that you found it interesting. Have a good day. Bye-bye. I'm so glad that you can relate to it. Thank you, Michelle.